The ability to do or act, the capability of doing or accomplishing something. That is the very first definition that comes to what it is that you have when it comes to this brand of yours, when it comes to what you're creating, what you're building with this podcast, with this radio show, whatever the platform is. And that is power. You have it. And the bottom line is you are capable of it. You are able to do it. You have to own it. Everything that we have been telling you to this point has been all about owning your ability and your capability to do it. And we're here to help you unlock that power, because that is Marion.
That is Joe.
And
go ahead, sir.
I am a podcast pro.
Did you say
P-R-O.
pro?
A
You
pro.
said pro. You said pro.
Not a novice.
Oh.
A pro.
That's what I'm talking about. Pro P. Listen.
Yes.
You want to be purposeful in everything that you do on your podcast platform. And guess what? You don't know who's watching off your podcast platform. You want to be resilient. You want to look at those things that other people call obstacles and challenges and go, you know what? That's just proof in the pudding of who God created me to be. Because I'm going to go ahead and figure this out. And watch when I start to help somebody else do this thing I just figured out. And then you want to be, outstanding. You want to stand on your outstanding business as your amazing self. All right, Joe, go ahead. Tell the people what we're here to do.
So tonight we are here, as we tease from the outset. It's all about that power and saying, I got the power. Because it's an I statement.
Wait. Cause it's getting kind of hectic.
It's getting kind of hectic.
What? I got the power.
Yes, and we're here to make it less hectic for you, because you have the power to create your brand, because the brand is who?
You.
That's right. That's right. So, what's the first way that someone can unlock that power and really create their brand and make it unique and germane to who they are?
Wow, what is the first way? Listen, that first thing is really believing and knowing and saying and claiming, I got the power. Listen, because back in the day, when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but sometimes I sit and I apologize. Listen,
we break out in song. It's what we do.
I'm just saying, back in the day, it was just this process of how things were done. You literally came in at the bottom and worked your way up at the top. I'm not talking about nepotism, because sometimes you just know somebody, your family hook you up. That's different. I'm just talking about the standard for how we were trained. Listen to me. Trained to think is you come in at the bottom and you work your way up. So much so that I just held a conversation with my little cousin. Hey there, Jordyn. And he literally told me, I said, yo, I'm just checking on you. I know you in your second year of college. What's popping, cuz? He said, I am sitting here just waiting for someone to pick me up for an internship. I don't care. Please hear me clearly what my cousin said. I don't care if it's just as a janitor in a stadium. I am willing to do anything to get that in, and just if I'm mopping a floor or sweeping, maybe I'll run into somebody. I'll be able to start to make those connections. Why? Because we are trained to think that you start at the bottom and work your way up. And I'm not saying anything about a janitor. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's not going to school to be a janitor. going to school for sports management. So you're telling me to break into the industry that you want. You think that the only way you're going to be able to do it in sports is if you start with a broom or a mop and hope that someone comes out of a stall at the very time that you're cleaning. And then you meet someone and somehow something happens and you spark. I'm not saying that that's even an outrageous thought to have. I'm just saying you're in school for this. So that is that first step, I would say, is you got to change that back in the day mindset. Did you hear me? He's a freshman in college and he still thinks this. It's something that we're trained to think. I would say what I said to him was, you just need to be the example of who you dream of being. Him not knowing that I saw that he liked a post that I put on social media. And then I saw his page and clicked the link that he had on his page and found out that my cousin put out a podcast, one episode 8 months ago. Started his channel. He has a logo. He put out that one episode. His page literally says the Jordyn Archives, just a young man speaking his mind. So I would at this moment ask everyone, pull out your phones. Please go to the Jordyn Archives and follow my cousin. That logo is black with a little purple circle in the middle, and it literally says the Jordyn Archives. I'm just doing that quick plug, but that's what sparked this entire conversation that we're going to have tonight. That's what sparked it. Because in that moment, I saw, wow, he's still thinking old. So now I first need to get him to understand, be the example that you want to be. But then I also opened the floor and said, and guess what? I'll help you produce your podcast. He was like, what do you mean? I said, yeah. Let's get you out there. First, I want you to talk about the things that are on your heart. Let's get those things out so you don't feel you enjoy doing it. And then we're going to incorporate your sports, that thing that you want to do, because that other part of you have the power to create your own brand because you are the brand, because it's a new day. This is a new day. You do not have to wait for someone to open a door and invite you to their table. You don't have to wait to do the great things that you have envisioned in your mind. I can see this. I can imagine that. Oh my goodness, I want to create this. I want to do this. Like, you can do it now. Guess what? The only person stopping you is you. My man already created his YouTube page. This was a call I gave him less than a week ago. Yeah, episode 2. So let me tell you, there was only the one episode from 8 months ago. Yeah, episode 2 just dropped. Why? Because he has a cousin that's a producer. And we're going to posse up with him and make sure this young man gets out what he wants to say. He said he's a young man speaking his mind. That second episode blew my mind. He said, oh, I want to talk about my walk with Christ. That is everything. So you got to get that old thinking out of your mind.
Yeah.
You got to be the example of that thing you're dreaming of.
Absolutely.
That person you see, that higher you. You just got to start being that person. And then you just got to make your own way, create your own stage, your own platform. Here we're talking about doing it through podcasting, but you can take this information and apply it to anything.
That's right.
So let me stop, because I could go on and on and on and on. So I'm going to go ahead and yield the floor to you, sir. Go ahead and tell them number 2.
So number 2, and it's a perfect segue from everything that you said about Jordyn. It's a perfect segue into the second point, which is start with what you have. You got to, the thing is, what was key about what you said about the bottom is that there is a bottom for everything. but it's the specific bottom that you're starting from versus like you doing a janitorial bottom and you want to be in sports management. You start in something like you do an internship, or you do something where you can somehow tie in what it is that you're actually good at or what you're skilled at, and you start with that. But going deeper into it, like, because you're not going to be a superstar right off the break. Everybody has to start at a bottom. But it's like, okay, what is your bottom? What is it that you actually have that you can work with? And it's three really key things that you can start with from the bottom, so to say. So what have you already done? I'm going to use myself as an example for all of these particular three things. So when I was starting the Balance and Act radio show, that ran from 2018 to 2021 on Win DC Radio, what I already had leading into creating that show was my experience as in radio in college for 4 years. But then even after a 16-year break, I came back into radio with Breakout Kings with, I think it was three of my homies, and then it ended up being four of my homies at the time. And so I came in on their show with the experience that I already had. They trusted me with the experience that I already had, and I was able to basically help to be a liaison between us and the guests, us and the artists, getting music, all of these different things, because I already had the knowledge and the know-how to do it coming into the show. I also had the experience of being a blogger. So I came with a blogger journalist mind. Like I actually did print journalism for maybe a total of, I would say, 4 to 6 years before I even came into radio. And the thing about having all of that experience with print journalism, with blogging, with radio, with being an artist, I could put all of these things together in one product. Use all of the tools that I was able to already have, so that when I decided to go my own way and create my own brand that was specific to what I wanted to present, it's like, okay, I have all these tools at my disposal. So it's not like I'm lacking for anything. I have everything that I already knew. I knew how to do graphic work because I was doing a lot of the graphic work for my radio show that I was on, co-hosting with, but also I had just learned how to use Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, like all of these different things that help me create my own graphics. So I didn't have to actually use anybody for graphics. I didn't have to use anybody to create my own theme music. I didn't have to use anybody to create my drops for my show. I didn't have to use anybody for a lot of things other than the radio station that I was on. I knew the station CEO and the program manager, or not the program manager. I forget the specific title, program director. So I already had relationships with them. All of these relationships, and that perfectly segues into who you know. Because I literally just had a conversation with my son maybe a couple of days ago about, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yes, you could know a lot. You can have a lot of experience, but if you don't develop relationships with people, you creating this brand is going to fall on deaf ears. So building those relationships with the people at the radio station, with the people, not just the people in charge of the radio station, but with the other shows on the station. Like I had built relationships with a lot of those people on those shows. So like they helped me to really get the word out when it was time to unleash this show. And not just when it was time to unleash it, but when it was time to like continue the trajectory upward. Like having those relationships with people really helped me to really build the brand, and not just like at the radio station, but also with artists. Because I had already had relationships with artists, I never had a shortage of music, number one. And then number two, I started developing more relationships with other people outside of the radio station, just being out and about with DJing, with all of the things that I did, like just getting off the porch, so to say, like developing those relationships. It helped me to make that transition easier into having my own radio show, because people already knew, or they had a glimpse of the type of personality that I had, the professionalism that was important to me. And just being able to put a product that was going to be quality. And it over 3 years, it just kept growing and growing and growing. But also, I had to figure out what I had an appreciation for. What would make this show different than what I came from? Because the show that I came from was a little bit more along the lines of like a Breakfast Club type of show, which was cool. But I wanted something different. I wanted something that spoke to who I was and that made sense. If you watch this show, it's like, okay, this makes sense for Joe or AJ or Throwback, depending on when you've known me in your life. Because everybody calls me something different based on like when you met me. I always say that. But the point is, it's like it didn't feel inauthentic when you watched it. So people who know me know I love music. That's probably number one. They know I love sports. They know I love that I'm very much into politics. I have a degree in political science. It's another thing, like tapping into something else that I already had some expertise with or I could speak to intelligently. Getting into entrepreneurship, that was very important for me, being able to actually own my brand. And then just community. Community is very important for me because everything was about ecosystem. Everything when it comes to being an artist, when it comes to being in podcasting, no matter what it is, it's about the ecosystem and community. How do we as a people form these Venn diagrams where everything overlaps? Like what I do overlaps with what you do, and that overlaps with what the next person does. And then over here, this overlaps with what this person does, and find those common spaces. That was very important for me. So I wanted to create a brand that centered around community, togetherness, and balance. And its Balancing Act radio show was born. And it was and it spoke to who I was because my whole life has been about balance. My whole life has been about, okay, yes, I'm this, but yes, I'm that too. Or yes, I appreciate this, but yes, I appreciate that too. Yes, I might believe this, but I don't necessarily want to neglect this point and bringing this up in order to strengthen my own belief system, whatever it might be. So everything was about, okay, let's balance these things out so they even out and make it fair and make it equal and make it harmonious as I possibly could, because that's just who I was. So that was a matter of me figuring out myself first and foremost, what I like, who I know, what I have, and then putting it all together in a way that brought all of my talents together under one umbrella. And then it's just a matter of like, okay, I had these ideas, but I had to actually build it. Which brings us to the third point. If you build it, it's a cliche saying. It's cliche, but if you build it, they will come. And they are the people that are supposed to be there, because that's the key thing. What you do isn't for everybody. It's not for everybody. Your target audience is not everybody. That is a fatal flaw in music marketing. It is a fatal flaw in podcast, radio show marketing, is that you try to make your audience everybody. Everybody is not going to be into what you do. They're not going to like all of the music that you play if you're doing a radio show. They're not going to be into all of the guests and the topics that y'all talk about. They're not even going to be into you. Like, it might just be something about you. You could 10 people over here could love you, but 2 people over here might think you the worst thing since whatever. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing since castor oil. You know what I mean? Like, they just think you are hot garbage. Like, you didn't do anything to them, but you might as well have kicked their dog right off the bridge or something, But these 2 people over here are unimportant. These 10 people over here are the important people. And the bottom line is that you have to throw the invite out there. You have to give people an invitation, whether you're talking about the audience themselves or the guests that you want to bring on the show or the sponsors that you want to bring on the show. I'm going to give a quick example. So I threw out an invitation to, it was this food truck, and I really loved their food. When I say their food was top notch, I was going there every Friday and long line, like down the block for their food. And I was like, I like what these dudes is doing. And they were so cool. Like I would follow like the chefs that were involved. Some of the chefs and they followed me back. Some of them, they didn't, but it was cool. Like they just liked that I posted their stuff or like just really celebrated what they did. So I shot my shot. I was like, look, nothing hurts but to see, what they do. So I sent the invite saying, hey, I'm a brand new show. I really love what y'all are doing in the community. I really love y'all food and y'all truck. I would like to know if you would love to get on as one of the early sponsors of our show. They responded. They politely declined, but I had to actually put myself out there and invite them to be a sponsor. And it's the same thing with guests. I sent out invites to certain guests, and I might get a response. I might not get a response. I might get the Bojangle response. You know what I'm saying? But either way, it was up to me to shoot my shot. It was up to me to send out the invite. And there were a lot of people that accepted invites, a couple people that didn't. But the people who accepted those invites, they were the ones that made the show, the brand, what it was, and made it special and made it something that people are still talking about to this day. So that's the first half of building it, and they will come. So what's the second half of that, Marion? What would you say that would be?
You said you put yourself out there. You put yourself out there, and that's what we all have to do. You just have to dive in and put yourself out there. But in putting yourself out there, do not allow your presentation to be determined, valued, or persuaded by others' responses to what you put out there.
Yeah.
Going back to Jordyn, it was very important to him that his second episode be about his walk with Christ and how he's taking it serious now.
Yeah.
That was very important to a sophomore in college. That if I'm moving to my second episode, it has to be about my walk with Christ because I'm taking it serious now. And I want other students, other young people to know how to take it serious. Why? Hopefully my telling my story will help someone else. But guess what? He said, I'm not worried about how many people watch it. Isn't that something? That's amazing.
That's magnificent.
He's not doing it for the purpose of the shares and the likes and the views. He's doing it, hopefully, to reach one. Sounds like somebody we know, doesn't it, Joe?
Yes.
Jesus will leave the 99 and come after the one. The one.
Yep. Yep.
So you want to make sure even on your social media, it's going to drive you back. If you're sitting there going, okay, well, today it went up 3 people. Okay, and then it went down 2. And then it went, concentrate on your purpose in doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Concentrate on your purpose. Concentrate on your resilience. You know why? Because as you go through things, you're going to choose to get better at it. You're going to start to see yourself and go, you know what? I want to be better in this area. I want to grow in this area. So I need to learn more about this because the next time I articulate on that subject, I want to be even more impactful.
Yes.
I actually want to learn it to apply it in my life so then I'll be speaking from my own experience. Joe just shared his own experience. It's just amazing to see. Listen, I started here. And he was so right in the beginning when he said, when he took over on point 2 and said, listen, Yeah, that bottom, that's just your beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's your choice of where you're starting.
Yeah.
But it's not in the hands of someone else. He combined me saying it's not in the hands of someone else to you. Yeah, that's your bottom, but that's just your beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's just where you're choosing to start with what you have,
Yeah.
with who you are, with who you know.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought that was amazing that you said, listen, but it is the bottom. You're starting, but that's because that's just you're starting. So now you're going to build.
Yeah.
And in that building process, we are crying out to you, please never stop learning. This man just shared with you that he did his own graphics. He wasn't born knowing how to do graphics. He learned it.
Yeah.
He didn't come out knowing how to produce music. He learned it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to, even in starting your podcast, as Joe always says, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let's say you take these tips and you're like, well, I'm not really sure what my platform is. I'm not really sure of this. I'm not really sure of that. Take the tips and apply them to your relationships. This man said he started working with people he knew. I'm blessed to be able to work with him. This is someone I know. We didn't start out on a podcast journey together. But because of the other endeavors that we had together, I knew this was a no-brainer. He knew this is
Mm-hmm.
a no-brainer. We got this.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is because of past experience we have with each other, though.
That's right.
So it started somewhere. It started somewhere. So you have to start somewhere. That's where I think this number 3 is. You have to start somewhere. I want to share a scripture. Yes, I have shared this scripture before, and I feel it bears repeating. Zechariah 4:10. Do not despise these small beginnings.
Mm.
For the Lord, I'm sorry, who? The Lord, say it one more time for the people in the back. The
Mm-hmm.
Lord rejoices to see the work begin.
Mm. Mm.
You gotta
Mm.
start somewhere.
Yeah.
So start with a social post.
Mm-hmm.
Start, just turn
Yes.
your camera on and share. You have something to say. If you want to be in front of the camera, don't go, well, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. There are so many ways to get your message out. Do you know we could be doing this whole podcast and you wouldn't have to see our faces?
Right. Could be audio.
It could be all audio. People
Mm-hmm.
literally just have different, they'll have the stars moving by in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they'll make different characters to do the speaking.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many ways that this can be done. But I would say start with turning on your social media. Going live does not mean you need to be in front of the camera. You can have your camera facing a piece of paper as you write what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Idea.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally have the camera facing the waves on the beach as you say what you want to say.
Yeah. And I've seen people do it.
Work your way up to wherever you want to be, but start. Zechariah 4:10. Do not despise small beginnings. My cousin Jordyn started his podcast platform. When I looked at the year, it said 2016. He joined YouTube and started that channel.
Mm-hmm.
He did not post anything until his first episode 8 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
a freshman in college. And now a sophomore in college. We recorded it Sunday. He dropped it Monday afternoon. That's how elated he is. Like, oh my goodness, now I get it. I know I need a beginning. I know I need the middle. I know how the middle is set up. And I know I need the end. I said, yeah, we can flush these ideas out. And we just record them.
Yeah.
And post them. Guess what I told him? You don't have to talk for an hour or 2 or 3. I said, babe, what do you want? You want a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute? How long you want to be? He said, well, I'll just start and we'll see. Just see and figure it out.
That's right.
But the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. That's what I got, Joe. Go on ahead and talk to the people. I think I've done enough.
I love that. Yeah, you recapped it well too. I definitely appreciate that. But before we wrap it up, I definitely want to make sure that we shout out Hello Beautiful, the brand Self-Care and Style Diary, for tuning in. Thank you so much, my sister Tia Danielle. Actually was on one of my most recent podcast episodes for Bring Back the Love Conversations. Thank you for chiming in. She said, I'm here, friend. And she also said castor oil is great. Yes, I'm sure it has certain purposes, just not going down in the mouth.
Listen,
it doesn't taste great.
And guess what? The best things for you usually don't, but you get used to it. I got your back, sis.
But we definitely appreciate you for tapping in with us tonight and supporting us. And we appreciate everybody who is watching this live tonight. Everybody who will watch this on the replay, we thank you so much for tuning in to figure out how you can say for yourself, I am a podcast pro. Marion, break down that PRO one more time.
Listen, P, purposeful. In everything that you do, have a purpose, have a reason. Have someone who you think of that can benefit from what you're doing, and you'll know you're doing the right thing. Resilient. When those things seem to be coming at you every which way, start to go, you know what? I got this. I'm going Jordyn this. I'm going Tiger this. Whomever that is for you. But guess what? Put your name there. I'm going Marion this. I got it. Because you know what? Oh, you're outstanding. Stand out as the outstanding, unique you that you are.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So if you want to follow us on social media, please make sure that you are following us on Instagram at I Am a Podcast Pro. Please feel free to join our Facebook community, which is I Am a Podcast Pro with Marion and Joe. Also, if you have show ideas or things that you would like for us to talk about on our platform, please make sure to email us at iamapodcastpro@gmail.com. We will gladly answer your questions, whether it's in an email, whether we address it in an episode. We're always looking for things to actually help out the community because we are here for you. And also, can't forget, make sure that you like, comment, share this video, and also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at I Am a Podcast Pro.
And don't forget to check out my man, please, the Jordyn Archives on YouTube. Follow him at the Jordyn Archives podcast. I thank you so much. I appreciate him allowing me to share about him and his journey. I'll be back. I'll be back talking more great things about him. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Thank y'all. Peace, y'all.
See you in the next episode.